Okay, let's dive into this explainer with something we all do, right? I mean, we probably get out of a chair dozens of times a day without even thinking about it. But what if I told you that this completely mundane, everyday task might actually be secretly robbing you of your leg strength? Seriously. It turns out the exact mechanics of how we simply stand up hold a massive, kind of hidden key to our long-term mobility. So, let's dig into the science of why this matters so much. I want you to actually think about how you usually get out of a chair. For most of us, it's almost a reflex to throw our weight forward, maybe push off the armrest to get that upward swing going. But here is a pretty shocking medical revelation. By relying on that forward momentum to stand, we're inadvertently allowing our most vital leg muscles to completely sleep on the job. We're literally tricking ourselves into thinking we're strong enough to stand, when in reality, momentum is doing all the heavy lifting. And this perfectly illustrates that basic leg strength isn't just about, general fitness. It's quite literally a matter of life and death. A massive study of over 2,000 older adults published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found that the ability to rise from the floor is actually a huge predictor of survival. The researchers discovered that those who struggled with this basic movement were 5 to 6 times more likely to pass away within the next 6 years compared to those who got up easily. Wait, 5 to 6 times? That is wild. It makes the ability to lift your own body weight arguably the single most underrated longevity test in modern medicine. So how do we lose this ability in the first place? Well, it sneaks up on us. Normal daily activities like walking or getting off the couch rely heavily on momentum. We're basically just falling forward and catching ourselves. Over time, your brain just naturally takes the path of least resistance. You start leaning, you start shuffling, and those crucial leg muscles slowly weaken because they aren't actually being forced to carry your dead weight anymore. We slowly fall into this normal standing trap without even realizing our muscles are fading away.
Now here's a fact that absolutely blew my mind. If your legs are already weak, simply walking doesn't fix it. I know, we're always told walking is the ultimate medicine, right? But one study tracked seniors for 12 weeks and found that a group doing simple, targeted muscle exercises while lying completely flat in bed actually gained 38% more leg strength than a group that walked every single day. Think about that for a second. Lying in bed beat daily walking for leg strength. It's the ultimate proof that we need a major paradigm shift toward targeted, deliberate movements.
And that brings us to a massive, game-changing discovery from a 2021 Lancet Healthy Longevity study. Researchers wanted to figure out exactly how to safely rebuild this life-saving strength. They looked at 1,800 older adults, ranging in age from 75 all the way up to 92, spread across 14 different rehabilitation centers. They specifically wanted to see what happens when we tweak the simple, everyday act of standing up from a chair. The results of that study were just staggering. Normal standing over a 10-week period yielded just a 12% strength gain, but when researchers had participants add a deliberate pause halfway up, that number skyrocketed to a 58% improvement. Literally just by hitting the brakes and stopping for a moment, the participants completely transformed the effectiveness of the exact same exercise.
So why does a simple pause work so incredibly well? Well, it completely eliminates your ability to cheat. With normal standing, momentum carries you right through the hardest part of the movement. But when you freeze halfway up, you force your biggest leg muscles, your quadriceps, to bear the entire load under sustained tension. And actually, it protects your joints too, because your muscle, rather than your skeleton and connective tissue, is doing all the heavy lifting.
All right, so how can we safely execute this sit-to-stand pause at home to dramatically boost our own strength? It's a really simple 3-step process. First, sit in a sturdy, armless chair with your feet flat. Cross your arms over your chest, and this is absolutely crucial because it stops you from cheating by pushing off your legs or the armrests. Next, begin to stand, but when your thighs are roughly parallel to the floor, just freeze. Finally, after holding that hovering position, push firmly through your heels to stand all the way up. That 3-second freeze at the halfway point, that is where the absolute magic happens. When you hold that position for a full 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3, you are going to feel a deep burn in your quadriceps. Don't panic. That burn is a sign of victory. It proves your muscles are generating maximum force, adapting rapidly to the sustained tension without any of that harsh impact on your knees. You literally can't cheat, and your body rewards you for it.
Once you realize how powerful it is to eliminate momentum, it begs a pretty interesting question, right? Where else can we apply this science? Like, what other low-impact daily movements can we hack with deliberate muscle activation to basically rebuild our bodies from the ground up? Well, our sources revealed an entire supporting cast of highly effective exercises that mirror this exact science of the pause, and they all prioritize intense, deliberate control over speed. Whether it's the static holds of quad sets, the slow-flowing movements of Tai Chi, or very deliberate florizing techniques, they all share one critical feature. They completely banish momentum to force true active muscle engagement.
Take Tai Chi, for example. It is incredibly effective for fall prevention because you are moving so slowly that you can never ever rely on momentum. You have to be hyper-focused on every single millimeter of movement, and this keeps your brain incredibly engaged while your nervous system stays totally relaxed. Because you're being so deliberate and moving so carefully, your tiny stabilizing muscles are forced to work the entire time, rebuilding your balance completely naturally. And for those who struggle to even stand up at all, quad sets apply this deliberate tension directly from bed by lying completely flat and intensely tightening the quadriceps, which is basically an isometric hold where the muscle flexes deeply but the joint doesn't actually move. Seniors in one study gained 47% more strength than a group walking 30 minutes a day. There's that stat again. It proves that deliberate, focused tension beats careless momentum every single time.
Okay, let's bring this back to the floor for a second. If you ever find yourself down there, just trying to heave yourself upward places immense, dangerous twisting forces directly on weak knees and your lower back. It's a bad idea. Instead, using deliberate techniques, like pressing firmly into the floor with your palms or using a sturdy piece of furniture nearby, intelligently distributes your weight to your upper body. This drastic shift reduces the load on your lower joints, protecting them from strain.
Building on that, the ultimate goal is mastering a flowing, three-step sequence that orthopedic surgeons actually consider the safest way to get up from the floor. First, you roll your weight into a side sit, which protects the spine from twisting. Then, you carefully press up onto your hands and both knees, establishing a very wide, stable base. Finally, you bring one foot forward into a kneeling lunge and push firmly up to a stand. It takes what feels like an overwhelming, dangerous task and breaks it down into manageable, momentum-free steps.
Look, restoring your functional independence really just comes down to conquering your daily momentum. And if you remember one thing from this explainer, let it be this massive number, 58%. That is the incredible strength gain you can achieve from a simple 3-second pause. And amazingly, it's also the exact percentage that a Cleveland Clinic study found seniors reduce their floor rising time by just by learning these deliberate, focused movement methods. It's huge.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I've got a challenge for you. Which chair in your house are you going to use right now to test this out? Seriously, you don't need a fancy gym, and you certainly don't need expensive weights. You just need a chair and 3 seconds of incredible focus to completely rewrite how your body ages. Give it a try, feel that burn, and take your momentum back.